Welcome back to Holistic Healing Association. I'm Erin Darcy. I'm certified in somatic processing and clinical hypnosis. Today, we will be discussing parenting and trauma. I have with me a somatic therapist, Greta Jane, from Greta Jane's Somatic Therapy. Thank you so much for joining us. And can you please tell us more about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm Gretel Jane from Gretel Jane Somatic Therapy. I live in Australia. You might be able to tell from the funny accent. Yeah, I've lived here all my life and moved around quite a lot. My story, I guess, with relevance to this channel and what you're doing here, Erin, is that I separated from my children's father, and it was an abusive relationship. So there's a huge story there, so my sort of journey beyond that has been healing from that and supporting my children to do that. We've moved around a lot, actually. We didn't stay in just one place. Started off in Sydney, which some of your listeners and watchers from other countries might know, and sort of moved into, the countryside and, other parts of Australia, and sort of settled in a regional city now, which is wonderful, and really enjoying life here. And building my own business. I've started doing some support work recently as well to earn some money, and I actually found that I quite like it. And I'm working with people who have a lot of trauma and mental health struggles, so it's wonderful to be able to support them with their daily life as well. Um, I think, I've always lived in Australia, and growing up as a child, I had very much had an outdoor lifestyle, and Sydney's by the sea, so a lot of, frolicking on the sand and swimming in the sea and all that kind of thing. So that's one of my happy memories. Anything particular that you'd like to know? I guess that's a little bit of a nutshell of me and who I am. I have two children. Did I mention that? Who are now teenagers. One's moved away from home, so I'm half empty nester, which is a very strange feeling. But yeah, I'm super proud of my girl away at university this year. So I have got one son at home. So yeah, the life of a single parent. And that's a whole nother story in itself, right? But that's me pretty much.
Right, thank you. Thank you. And what's your favorite color?
Red, can you tell?
Red? Right. And what do you think inner strength means?
Oh, inner strength. That's a huge question, Erin. um, I think inner strength is something that I don't know, is it obviously comes from within. It's um, it's something that we all have, whether we realize it or not. And I think on my own journey, I definitely didn't feel strong a lot of the times. A lot of times on my journey, even as a child, a lot of traumatic things happened. It's in those moments where I felt incredibly unsafe and not strong at all because I couldn't handle the situation. But I think my journey beyond my 50s is where a lot of healing has happened for me, a lot of sort of realizations. I've come back to myself and realizing that inner strength that's there all the time. I think inner strength for me means um, that part of you that's you, that's the truth of who you are, that is strong innately.
Your core self.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. That makes sense. Your core self, your true inner self.
Yeah, and I guess, being able to um, express that in the world in a way that feels good. Yeah,
Being your
yeah,
authentic
it's that
self.
unshakable part, that's actually there all the time. But
Yeah, we were born with,
sometimes, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. And the people that know us, that's the part they love, is
yeah, definitely,
their
yeah.
true core self.
Yeah, I think it's there all the time, but I think there's another aspect to it. I know I'm sort of thinking on the on the fly here, Erin. Um, but I think there's another aspect to it where inner strength can be, it's there all the time, like who you are is innately and inherently strong. It's just, you're a little being in the world. And I think that inner strength can grow with the experiences that we have in the world, or develop, perhaps. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but it's something that can grow and develop with the experiences that we have and the resilience that we develop as we go along, and I guess learn from, move beyond, heal from a lot of the experiences that we have as humans in the world.
Okay. And what is trauma and how does it impact our nervous system?
Okay. Well, I'd say trauma, isn't what happens to you. Often people think that it's, trauma is a traumatic event, but honestly, different people will respond to that event in different ways, or be impacted by a particular traumatic event in different ways. So therefore, it follows that it's your response and what happens inside you.
Mm.
Um, as a result of that event rather than the event itself, which is interesting. Because we all have a nervous system um, that, responds in different ways to what comes in from the outside, responds to the outside world. So, basically, it's the moment your nervous system decided that the world isn't safe, and it's been protecting you ever since, been trying to protect you from other things to keep you safe. So essentially, when you experience something overwhelming, something that your system doesn't have the resources um, to process in the moment, to handle, it's too much. It's like there's just no way that you can deal with it in the moment. Your brain and your body go into survival mode. So your system is intelligent in that it'll pick a particular state to get in to ensure your survival in the world, right? And it's very primitive. It's a primitive system um, that operates separately to conscious thought. Um, so and it basically there's a system that continues to scan and brace and continue to protect us. Often even decades later after an event has happened. So in that way, trauma can be carried within us, so to speak. Um, and almost like a it's often explained by probably by somatic experiencing people, or in a lot of circles, as being a cycle that hasn't completed, hasn't come back to completion yet. And so it's an activation that stays as an activation in our system, and that activation happened, that bracing happened in order to keep us safe from something. And so yeah, it I guess it's something that is experienced in your nervous system as a tension, a bracing, some kind of response that's connected to one of those nervous system states, whether it's fight, flight, freeze, fawn, that allows us to stay safe in the moment.
Hmm. And what are signs of trauma? A person may have experienced trauma.
Oh goodness. Lots of different signs. I suppose, you know, they may dissociate. That's one that comes to mind straight away. It's been a big one for me. Like in a particular situation that might be similar in some way, or maybe even not, but it might trigger your system in some way. Um, it's almost like your awareness sort of goes elsewhere, and you're no longer in the present. So I suppose that's probably the biggest one. Then it's uh, where you're no longer in the present engaging with what's happening right now. You've actually just gone out into the past. Mostly you've essentially become like a younger version of yourself, that at the time when that trigger first happened, you've gone back to that time, and your system is responding in that same way, because it's like, oh, I know this, and it's going to get you into the state and help you to interact in that moment in a way that's going to keep you safe, or it thinks it's going to keep you safe. So not always helpful, but that's the way our nervous system helps us to respond. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And interestingly enough, I was just speaking to Dr. Nick, who was just on our channel a couple times, and
Yeah.
um, he'll be coming back. He's asked to
Mm,
come back again. And we were talking about how when a person experiences trauma, there's fight, freeze, flee, or fawn. And now, of course, we can go into each one. Personally, we can all go into them. But we can have a response, trauma response, that we're more likely inclined to go into. So, for example, if something really bad is to happen, for me, I am more inclined to go into fight.
right.
And I asked him, why is that? And it made sense because I do not, is from personal experience, your history and how your
Mm,
nervous system has reacted.
yeah.
Personally, I don't have severe developmental trauma. I played a lot of sports growing up, and
Mm,
I was very intense in the sports. So my nervous system has learned when something happens, and I feel like I need to go into survival mode,
yeah.
my nervous system goes into fight because that is how my nervous system is trained,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now that doesn't mean every single time I have experienced a traumatic event, that is how my nervous system will respond. A man, when I was in my early 20s, a man put his hands on my throat and started strangling me. Now, I was lucky. I was heavy into weightlifting at that point, but still, my survival reaction was to go in fast and hard, and I beat him off me.
Right.
And I was weighing 120 pounds. He
Wow.
was much larger than me. So
Mm,
that was instinct. That was a
yeah.
survival response. And then I jumped
Yeah.
out of the car, right? So then it's
Yeah.
fight to flee. I
Mm,
was in Turks and Caicos once. I was walking down the street, following a stray dog, trying to feed it. And a man came up and started staring at me and talking to me. And I froze. And he just kept on looking at me up and down. And I didn't know if he was going to rob me or do worse. And I
yeah.
froze in spot. I just started talking a lot. And I was scared.
Yeah.
And I should have ran, but I froze. So everyone will experience all of these. My friend came around the corner, picked up the same vibe I was experiencing, and stared the man down, and the man left. Right?
Yeah. Right.
If he hadn't
Yeah.
come around the corner, I don't know. The man didn't do anything, but this is how my nervous system responded.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Interesting.
It's just it's so we can't blame ourselves with how our nervous system responds because we're in survival mode. So our core authentic selves are not always present because we're in survival mode. Some people
Yeah.
might be like, I froze, or
Yeah.
I I I people pleased, I fraud, right?
Yeah.
And feel shame. Why didn't I run? Why
Yeah.
didn't I fight?
Yeah.
And there's no shame because it's a survival response. It's not your true core authentic self. Everyone is like an animal. We're all out to survive, and there's our survival responses.
Yeah.
And recognizing that in each other and understanding and having compassion and not
Yeah.
just excusing, but
Yeah.
understanding, right? And then working on our own nervous system and our own healing personally, and that will help us grow as individuals. And if we can have a better understanding of our own selves and our own capacities, and accepting our own capacities and learning and growing and healing and continuing our healing, we can have better understanding and better growth.
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Because I know I was starting to question that because I would be like, and I was talking to Dr. Nick, and I was like, this is my insight. And I was like, what do you think? And he's like, you got it. So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like it's not a moment where any kind of conscious thought comes into it. And that's the way that human beings are wired. Like we're just wired with this system that can help us to respond in the moment
mhm.
and keep us safe. And yeah, the almost like that yeah, cognitive part of our brain goes offline because
Exactly.
that's not a part of our
We don't even
ensuring our
think logically.
safety.
It's just
No,
reaction, right?
no, no.
It's
And then later it's like, oh, then we interpret the response later, right? And go, oh my gosh, that means I'm this and I'm that and I'm oh gosh, I'm weak. All of these
but you're
beliefs
not.
start to happen, but exactly.
And it doesn't
Yeah,
just happen overnight that we're like, oh, a
yeah,
light bulb goes on, right? It can
yeah,
take weeks, it can take months to like, it's healing and it's growth and it takes time, right?
yeah,
And it's just
yeah,
meeting the other person where they're at and meeting ourselves where we're at,
yeah,
right? And understanding our own capacity and our own healing, right?
yeah,
And
and
giving
getting
ourselves
curious.
compassion and
Yeah,
being
yeah,
curious and asking ourselves,
yeah,
right? And what are our needs and what is this giving me? What survival behavior? Why did I respond this way? What did it give me?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Asking yourself the
Interesting. Where did that
inquiry
come
questions,
from? Yeah, yeah,
right? What
yeah.
is
With
this need?
compassion.
Yes, and what
Yeah,
is this giving me? And I was looking
yeah,
curious with compassion, and just asking yourself inquiry questions and knowing it's always a survival response, right? And sometimes even like looking at a distance and looking, right? And bringing yourself, noticing your nervous system
yeah,
and processing and healing and just noticing what's happening in your body as you look
yeah,
at from a distance and then bring it closer, looking at it from a distance and bringing it closer and working with
yeah,
your nervous system and
yeah. That's the key,
exploring,
isn't it?
yes,
Yeah,
exploring, inquiry, being curious. And then, and that's what somatic processing, that's part of more somatic processing. And it helps us to have a better, deeper understanding of ourselves, right?
yeah.
Um, mhm.
Yeah, that's right. Because when trauma happens, everything's very much speeded up, isn't it? It's like it
It
happens so
happens so
fast, and that's
fast, and your
why.
mind
Yeah,
is like
that's right.
racing,
Yeah,
right? It's like this. At
yeah,
least
yeah.
for
It
me,
goes
it's like
offline
this,
completely.
right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah, yeah,
it starts slow. But when you're
yeah,
like this,
yeah,
You're
Yeah,
gonna make
yeah.
mistakes,
Yeah.
right? Because it doesn't,
Yeah,
it doesn't,
yeah,
like if you're trying to do something with your hand and your hand is like this,
yeah.
imagine trying to cut scissors or color even, right? It's not gonna work. And that's just
Yeah,
basic. Imagine like the deeper, right? So it's,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
it's recognizing where our nervous system is, going
yeah,
into our body every day. And
yeah,
and whenever we are like this, it's
yeah,
important to try and resource.
yeah, definitely. I think it's, even when you're looking back on an event and all of the feelings and thoughts about yourself, become about you, right? Like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, because I responded like that. Oh my God, that must mean this and that and everything else. And that,
And the shame we can
it's
feel, and
it's
the
usually negative.
anxiety,
Yes. Yeah,
and the
that's right.
self-criticism, and
Yeah,
just
it becomes
recognizing,
I am so bad because I behave like this, or I am, yeah, it becomes I am, right? Rather than, oh, wow. And, what if you could step back and go, oh, wow, oh, that's interesting. I responded like this and I said that. Gosh, I wonder where that came from, you
exactly,
know?
where did that come from?
Yeah, and starting sort of getting back into the present and thinking, okay, but what is that going on? What's happening in my body? What response was I? Oh, okay, right. So I just completely froze. Oh, that's so interesting. Gosh, I wonder if I can be with that. I wonder if I can, what does that freeze feel like in my body? And, to really, start to explore that and get curious about that, always with compassion for yourself, because, that shame spiral, that, self deprecation, what's the word, like that harshness towards yourself that can often come judgment. Um, you know, can be pretty hard to deal with too, right? But, when you can go, oh, wow, okay, so my system responded like this. That's so interesting. I wonder why that happened, and really get curious about it. I think that's where the gold, and that's actually where the healing can start to happen once you start to have that awareness and start to explore it. And, the resourcing that you do every day, as you mentioned, can really support that, because you can have that process of, I guess, going to that state again, and experiencing it, slowing everything down within that sense of safety, and then to just, allow your system to process rather than it getting stuck.
Hmm. And just being curious if there's trauma triggers and it's coming from your past.
Yeah, that's right. Is
And
that,
if
yeah,
it's
does that
a
feel
poking
familiar?
a wound, right? Because
Yeah,
that's what trauma is. It's a wound that's not completely healed.
yeah, that's right.
And being gentle
Yeah,
and compassionate with that wound.
yeah,
And
definitely.
what survival response do you tend to go into the most?
Um, well, yeah, interestingly, I think, the fawn response has been one of the biggest for me, because a lot of the, trauma that I have carried, um, from a very young age, has been such that there was nothing that I could do. I couldn't fight, I couldn't run away. And this is generally how it goes. If you can't fight, then, say no. And you can't run away because you're too little, or you're incapacitated, or for whatever reason. Um, and then, I guess the state that felt the most, possible for me in that moment to keep me safe was to fawn, was to go, oh, and try and make everything okay. And honestly, it's how my, both of my parents used to deal with conflict as well. So it's something that I learned from them, which is a whole other conversation, isn't it?
It's
About how we
generational, right? And that was
learn
my
these
next
patterns
question
from,
is
yeah, learn these
intergenerational.
patterns from our parents. Yeah, but, that's very much been a pattern that I've, had. I guess fawn or flee. If I can't flee, fawn. But
Mhm.
yeah, I noticed that people pleasing tendency in me, like even now after all of the work that I've done, but I have, yeah, so much compassion for it now. I'm just like, oh, wow. Oh,
Mhm.
darling.
And I
It's all
agree
good.
with you there too.
Yeah.
I believe socially, especially in high school, I definitely
Yeah.
fawned.
Oh, yeah.
Like if so, like there was like the mean girls, they were called the mean
Yeah.
girls.
Yeah.
I got along with them because I was just nice. Like I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, I wasn't like buddy buddy, but I'm like, I see you. How's it going? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah. No, that's fine. I can do that. Yeah.
well, they didn't ask me to do
Yeah.
things.
Oh, yeah.
No, they didn't ask, but like
Yeah.
if I was now, I would be like, yeah, I'm not hanging out with you, right? Um, and I'm not gonna be mean, but I'm not gonna be like, so like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
like, oh, like, hi, we're buddy buddy. No,
Yeah. And you just flow with what they're saying rather than challenging. Like I've had a similar situation, and yeah, I would be there and not challenge any of the awful things that they say about other people, or perhaps, I think about a time when I was at high school being a part of a situation where I was with the mean girls who were, bullying someone else.
yeah,
And I just sat there and I was with them because that was the most safe place to be, rather
exactly. It's a safe
than,
place,
honestly, exactly, if I'd
but
been
you're not
able to
your
say,
core
no, no,
authentic
no, no, no,
self.
no, no, appalling. How dare you treat another human like that? Like, this is how the now me would respond. But in that moment, when I was a young person, that was the response that I went into. It was like, oh my God, like, oh, I
I know,
cringe now when I think back, but I also have to have
I know,
compassion for
and
my
that
younger
reminds me,
self.
like even like in high school, there was this guy I was friends with, and he's probably easily one of the most cocky guys in the school. And now
Yeah.
he was mean to people. I would stick up for them, but people would always ask me, but I'd be buddy buddy with him, and people would say, "Why are you friends with him?" Right? Like I remember once he drew a picture of a boy with a ton of acne on his face, and he went and put it up on the board at the school.
Ugh, yeah.
And I went and I took it
Yeah.
down, and he's like, "Come on, I drew that.
Yeah.
Give it back to me." Or I was like, "Okay, here you go." Well, sure enough, he goes and does it again. And I
Yeah.
went and took it down, and the boy who has the acne on his face is like pleading with me, and then I passed it over to the boy, right? Um, but I still was friends with the guy after. Like that's not something the core Aaron would be like, okay, now we're going to hang out again, right? You're not being
Yeah.
nice to
Yeah.
this human.
Yeah.
You're not treating him with
Yeah. Yeah.
respect and kindness.
Yeah.
Why would I, and I continually see this pattern with you. Why would I want to go now hang out with you? Because I think you're a
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
person. That's not cool,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
is not
Yeah.
cool. There's something happening in that person's nervous system that makes him feel like he needs to act like that,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And I remember
Yeah.
too, um, we were tried out for the military in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where my fight survival response happens. And
Yeah.
I didn't pass a part. And he always made fun of other people, but never made fun of me.
Yeah.
And he turned around and started making fun of me. And I almost started crying. But you know what I did instead? On the army base, I challenged him to a push up competition in front of his buddy, and I beat him. And then I said, "Oh, look, a girl just beat you." And his buddy started laughing. And then I was like, done. Right?
Yeah.
But so like that core authentic Eric coming out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
understanding our social situations and we're not always our authentic self.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's
and
right. Yeah.
we don't even realize it sometimes in the moment present. Sometimes it takes self-reflection looking back. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
and I
Because
know
your
like,
authentic self, yeah. So,
go ahead.
no, because your authentic self would say, no, mate. that's not okay. Like, and you would, and within you, you would, because you're fully authentic in the moment, present. There's no bullshit, sorry,
Exactly.
bullshit from the past. Sorry, am I allowed to say that? There's no stuff from the past coming in. And causing you to shrink or step out of that. If your true authentic self, that would go up against your values, your how you are and how you want to be in the world, and you would just say no, not okay. Don't do that. Like, let's just rip this thing up. Let's go do something fun. Like, come on.
Mhm.
So
We're
therefore,
all people
and you
here.
wouldn't,
Everyone
yeah.
deserves to be treated with compassion and respect.
Yeah, exactly. And you're not going, and if you're not going to, not able to do that, then yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to leave.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
like that's how your authentic self would
exactly. It
respond,
is.
isn't it? But
I mean, everyone's
yeah.
different, but to me, yeah, in high school, I didn't do that so much. Now I'd be like, no, right? But
Yeah.
it's also, it
Yeah.
takes confidence to be able to do that. It's not always easy. Maybe
Yeah.
you want to do that, but it's not always easy to do that in the moment time. And I know, like, even with my parents, probably more particularly my mom, I think they taught me to people please because they
Oh yeah.
always wanted to be nice.
Yeah.
It's getting a little bit personal, but my child last year, it was like she was in the hospital to 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And I had to take her home, and she's very young, and she was sleeping.
Mm.
And the neighbor came knocking on my door, started swearing at me and yelling because his bush had been trimmed. I didn't even know what it was, what had happened. I didn't do it. He assumed I did it. Right away, I started fawning him and saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm sorry. And I didn't even
Wow.
know what I was
Yeah.
saying I'm sorry for.
Yeah.
And he left, and then I figured it out. And he came back, and I've had countless problems with this neighbor. He came back the next
Yeah.
day, and he was like, "Oh," and I said, "Don't talk to me again.
Yeah.
This is a boundary I'm setting up, right?"
Yeah.
But my mother wanted me to bring over some tomatoes or something to him that I was growing. Go give them food. Do you see? And this is a
This,
strong pattern with this
yeah.
neighbor that he's continued to have
Yeah.
done this. That
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. She's like, it'll help you get along with them.
Yep. That's
Yes,
right.
right? But
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
like I have now put up a boundary. I don't want to go now give you food.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that doesn't mean
Yeah.
you don't forgive the person, right?
Yeah.
But this person continually is doing these patterns. At some point, you need to put up a boundary.
Yeah, yeah, which requires that inner strength, that connection with the anger, perhaps, like, no,
Getting
that's
in touch with your
not that,
anger.
no, that's not right. That's not right, So to allow you to say that, to allow you to feel that sense of
Yes,
and
yes.
then,
Instead of like, oh, how
yeah.
can I become your friend?
Oh, yeah, yeah, that which is suppressing that authentic expression of anger. Yeah,
Yes, so exactly. So
yeah,
that is something I would have
absolutely.
been raised with. Like,
Yeah.
always try
Me
and
too.
be
So
nice.
familiar with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Be nice. Like, it's about being nice because
it's
that's
about
how
being
you're
nice.
acceptable in the world, right? Other people will like you then, and that's really
And
important.
you can't get
Like,
angry.
oh my God. Yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh, no. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is
Yeah.
intergenerational trauma? We've already started to cover this a little bit. How do parents unknowingly pass down their unhealed wounds? And how can we start to break this cycle for our own children?
Yeah. Well, intergenerational trauma is, the inheritance that nobody asked for, right? Like, it's something that your parents pass down. It's like, oh, great, thanks, mum and dad, once you start to realize what it's all about. But, with compassion for them too, goodness, because they're also humans in the world. And I love that I'm coming at this from my, you know, having looked at a lot of this stuff within myself. But it's that anxiety, that your mum carried, and definitely that's been a thing for me too. that she learned from her mom, and then perhaps she learned it from hers, and it got passed down, through conversation, but also through that nervous system contact with each other. We affect each other without speaking, right? Just the way we respond to things like that, like the contraction that, children pick up on that. And so, in that way, children don't just learn from what we say to them and what we tell them to do or not do or whatever. It's, they learn through what they feel in our presence. So
Our
when they're
nervous
with
system.
us and yeah, that's right. So, that like a child's nervous system, will get in sync with their mother's in utero, right? Like, I think it's, what is it, 3 months or something after gestation, something like that. There've been a lot of
They
studies
start
on
to feel
this.
emotions.
That's right. And they can start to, their nervous system will get in sync with their mothers, so that,
Mm.
that's when it starts. But even, as a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, when things happen, they're observing their parents and, taking that all in. So if the parent, braces and contracts, or, is chronically anxious, or, even emotionally unavailable, then, the child's nervous system attunes to that. And so, it then becomes their baseline for what the world's like, you know? And so I guess breaking the cycle can be I'd like to say, quite a radical act, actually, in breaking that, because it's very natural for humans to learn from their parents and then take those patterns down and then pass them on to their children. That's kind of the way human beings are
Well, it's
wired.
exactly, and
But
that's why you see pattern
yeah,
family patterns. That's exactly what it is,
yeah,
right?
that's
And
right.
it can be good
Yeah,
and it can be bad.
yeah, yeah,
It's
that's
not
right.
necessarily always
Yeah,
bad. It can also be very good,
true. Yeah,
right?
true, true. Yeah, but it's all about
Um,
awareness, right?
it's all
And
about
awareness
awareness,
of it.
right?
Yeah,
Like, so
yeah,
generational, intergenerational pattern, I would say for my family, is caring what people
yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. Me too.
now that
We're sisters. Yeah.
I am much more aware of this, I'm noticing what's
Yeah.
happening and being said to my child. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you want to be like, and when she's like, I want to be like my cousins. That's not a bad thing. They're great kids. But I'm like, I want you to be you,
Yeah.
right? I make a
Yeah.
point of that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I want you to be you. You want to wear this? She's like, it would look nice for my cousins or whatever. I'm like, no, you wear it because you want to wear it, right? Make
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
happy. And that doesn't mean I don't want her to have empathy and care about other people and help other people, but there's a difference. There's a
Yeah.
significant difference. And that's just the last interview we were just having. It's when we're helping other people, you want it coming from a genuine place. It's not coming from a place that I won't, if I don't do this, you won't like me. It's coming from a place that I care and I want to help you.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I want to say also that it's not about being perfect as a parent. It's not about doing it right as a parent. There's no such thing. It's just about awareness, as we just said, and it's about um, looking at your own wounds and noticing what's happening inside you in response to different things. Oh wow, gosh, I'm really angry and I just yelled at my child. Goodness, gosh, I wonder what that's about or where that came from. And so, that's what children need. They need a
Being
parent
curious.
who is able to be curious about themselves and what's coming up in them, and to be compassionate, and to, you know, and be present with them despite all of that. So you don't have to be fully healed to be a good parent.
Hmm.
Children just need you to be present, with all your stuff as well. So
And it's
despite all the
making,
stuff that's coming up, gosh, just acknowledging it, going, I'm so sorry or, wow, I yelled really loudly just now. That must have been really scary for you. Whew, gosh, big emotions come up in adults sometimes. It's got nothing to do with you at all. It's actually, something that's maybe not finished processing through me from something that happened to me when I was younger. Gosh, and getting really curious about it. I think that's the power of it, and that's when we can start to interrupt that cycle, or that, constant passing down of these patterns, just going, oh, well, that's just the way I am, or just not even having awareness of it, just starting to have some awareness and going, oh, wow, whew, where did that come from? Interesting. And just be getting curious about it. Yeah.
I agree. And it's waking up every day, getting out of bed and trying our best. But I think
Yeah.
that repair, what you just said, is critical because
Yeah.
we're all going to make mistakes, and
Oh,
owning
yeah.
up to our own mistakes
Yeah.
and apologizing to our child and admitting to it is critical.
Yeah.
And then our
Yeah.
child will learn to do the same. Because
Yeah.
if we just always tell our kids what to do, but we actually do the opposite, they learn
Yeah.
a lot more from behavior and watching us
Yeah.
than what we're telling them. If we
Yeah.
want
That's
them
right.
to be develop into stable, strong, healthy, decent, honest people, then we want to walk that path ourselves,
Yeah.
right? Don't
Yeah.
preach,
Absolutely.
walk the path or the best
Absolutely.
we can.
And
And like you said, we're
it
not
doesn't have to
perfect,
be perfect. Yeah. And it's
but just try.
actually, yeah, that's the great thing about being a human. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be human, right? And connect with other people and acknowledge, what's happening. And yeah, just notice your own stuff. Yeah.
And how do children trigger parents? How can a child's normal developmental behaviors accidentally activate a parent's unresolved past trauma?
Huge question. But I think ultimately it just comes down to, children's sort of natural behaviors triggering something unhealed within their parent. So, and that goes back to, that's why being able to become aware of those parts of you that take you out of the present, where you're actually engaging with your child and what's happening in the present, um, those things that take you out of the present, to take a look at those and get curious about those, is where healing can start, because it's absolutely those um, unhealed parts, because, children, I guess, in a way, are designed because they're just little human beings in the world who have their own, way of approaching things, as well as the things that they've learned and the things that they've taken on. But, they demand your full presence. They have big emotions they haven't yet learned how to express or process. And, for instance, if big emotions weren't allowed, if your parents weren't comfortable with big emotions when you were young, and, you know, suppress them in you, by saying, "Oh gosh, don't be so angry, don't be ridiculous, or stop crying," or, that kind of thing, then you're going to respond in the same way because you were wounded by your parents. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yeah. Yeah. And it's
Yeah. So
healing is
yeah,
looking at the trigger and becoming
yeah,
curious about it
yeah.
and being compassionate with it and starting to process it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And like a toddler having a meltdown in the supermarket, right? We've all been there if we've had kids or some other public place. Um, and that can be excruciating for the parent, right? Because they've got the shame of what other people might think, of them as a parent, and that old sort of terror of expressing emotion in that way and losing it. And then our children sort of learn, that they can't, that there's no safe place to fall apart. Whereas if we can provide them with that sense of safety, regardless of how they respond to things, if they're totally losing it, yelling and screaming, and know that we're there for them and that we love them, and then that is exactly what children need to be able to learn to process that stuff. But it requires of the parent to get to know their own response to that situation and to big emotions.
And
Yeah,
that's
and to
just
be
not
able
for
to
parenting
process
too.
it. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
triggers, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's
just
true.
one
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
And what are the
Yeah.
most effective grounding techniques a triggered parent can use the moment they're experiencing a trigger with their own child?
Well, I always say that, taking a look at some of these, I guess, ways of grounding and being with what's coming up in you in these moments, to do it when you're not triggered is a really good idea so that
Practicing.
you can, yeah, exactly. So it can be just, it's about finding what works for you, because we're all slightly different. But I think one thing that's really great is just to put your hand on your chest and your hand on your belly, perhaps, or just your hand on your chest, just that in itself, just with that perfect amount of pressure that helps you to feel, um, uh, yeah, helps you to feel safe in that moment, like safe and grounded.
That really helps
Yeah, it
me.
can be really
That's
perfect. I
fun.
find that too. Like it's yeah, it's sort of coming back to you. It's like noticing that something's happening and just going, oh wow, okay.
And the
And then
more you
maybe
do it,
as yeah, yeah,
the more organic it becomes. You just even find yourself in that position.
exactly. Yeah, I just do it automatically now. It's like, oh, something. Oh, okay. And then you might, I also breathe at that moment too. I find the breath can be both activating and it can be activating for me too, um, but the tuning into it can really bring me back into the present because it's, breathing is one of those, you know, processes that, sustains life, right? Like we just breathe. Our body breathes. We don't breathe, so to speak. Like we don't breathe our body. Like
Breathing
it's just one
is
of those.
huge. Breathing can totally
It's a,
calm our nervous system.
yeah, and so just almost noticing the breath, like you're bringing your hand to your chest and just noticing your breath. Like, and you might even in that moment notice that it's quite high up in your chest, and like this, and just going, oh wow, I wonder if I can just deepen my breath a little, and just allowing it to sort of drop down into the body. Your stomach rise, and
Would
then
you like to do that
for a
with
couple of.
everyone right now?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite a powerful thing to do with other people. Yeah. So, yeah, if you just put your hand on your chest and just pause, allow everything to just slow down for a moment. Your hand on your chest and your heart space, just with that perfect amount of pressure for you. Some people need quite a lot. Some people might just be a feather touch, whatever works for you. And just allow yourself to feel that sense of holding and the sense of coming back to you just for a moment. And then as you're here, just be aware of the rising and falling of your chest. And you might put your hand on your belly as well and
Yep,
just
mine is
allow
on my
your neck.
belly. I
Beautiful.
can already feel my nervous system start to calm and
Beautiful. Me too.
breathing from
Yeah.
your stomach.
Yeah. Just allow your next breath, to come in perhaps through your nose. Doesn't matter. And then, go all the way down into your belly, so to speak, and allow your belly to rise. And then allow your breath to come out, perhaps with some sound, or just allow it to come out of your body rather than breathing out. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes using a bit of voice as you breathe out can help, especially if you've been activated by something. And just take a few breaths here.
And just noticing what's happening in your body
Yeah.
and where you're feeling it in your body. And practicing this every day, what a difference it makes.
Yeah, I do. Most mornings I will, get up and sit on the side of my bed and just go, good morning. Take a
It's
deep
beautiful.
breath. into my belly and
It
go,
took
oh
me a long
gosh. I
time to
don't,
start working
not
on
every
myself
morning, but
every
yeah.
day, but man, what a difference.
It really does. And
Um,
even if you don't at that time, like you're making your coffee later, standing there boiling the kettle, and you can even then just, stand there in the kitchen and go, oh wow, here I am making my coffee. Oh, I can feel
exactly.
my breath,
I
that's
find
it,
that
just
when
a
I'm
few
at church a
moments.
lot, I do that. I'll start
Oh
like
yeah.
hugging myself at church.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
oh.
perfect. Even just those few moments,
What is
super
though,
powerful
because I'm
every day.
also like at the same time,
Yeah.
I'm like I find lately when I'm praying, I'm doing it too, and it's like I'm
Yeah.
bringing the prayer into the embodied. Like it's a combination, and it's really
Beautiful.
interesting because you're noticing what's happening in your body also when you're
Yeah.
speaking to God. So I think
Yeah.
it is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Beautiful. And yeah, and I want to say it's not about completely relaxing. It's just about meeting yourself in that moment. That's it. And getting curious. The curiosity and compassion, the kindness, these words really important.
But I invite everyone at home, whether you have children or not, to become curious about your own wounds and be compassionate and gentle with yourself. And what can you tell parents who are experiencing deep shame or guilt after a trauma-induced reaction?
I'd say it's not, you don't have to be perfect. Like, as we've already said, like, it's not about being perfect at all. Your children don't need you to be perfect. No way. They just need you to be as present as you can be with them and to acknowledge what's just happened within yourself. Oh, wow. Like I said before, I've just yelled and screamed and oh my goodness, I just smacked my child. And the shame that can come with that can be devastating. But just want to remind you that you're human, having a human experience, and it's okay. The key is to acknowledge it, notice it, and realize that you don't have to be perfect. In fact, your children are going to learn so much from you by noticing how you respond to the things that happen like that. If they can witness you acknowledging your own reaction and your own response and letting them know that it's not about them, to say, wow, I'm so sorry. And like you said, the rupture's already happened, right? Because you've yelled, you've smacked, or whatever you've done. And you know that this is not okay, but then acknowledging that it's a part of you from the past that has been triggered. And so it's in that moment repairing the rupture that's happened with your child so that they know that it's not about them and that you love them, and that this big emotion that's come up within you is something that you're working on. It's like, hey, wow, I'm going to take more of a look at this within myself because wow, that was scary, wasn't it? But, gosh, it's something that's happened to me in the past. I'm going to work on healing that. But I want you to know that I love you and this has got nothing to do with you.
But if you
So
are
it's
hitting
that
your child or yelling, I would make sure that you're seeking professional help and getting on top of that too.
definitely,
Because it can be a
yeah,
trauma response,
definitely.
100%, but we don't
Yeah,
want to create trauma for children. And
true.
so if
Yeah,
it is, if there anyone watching today is hitting, or constantly yelling, it's really important to not just do the work yourself, but to seek
yeah,
professional help.
yeah, absolutely. I would say that. Yeah.
And how can parents explain their triggers, emotions, or past trauma to their children in age-appropriate ways?
Yeah, well, it depends. Like if you've got very young children, it's probably you'd probably use words like, "Gosh, that was really loud. What just came out of my body right now?" Oh, that must have been so scary for you. It's okay. I'm okay, and I'm going to take a look at that within me to heal that. That came from another place. But I want you to know that's not about you. Come here. Like it's about helping that young child to feel safe, because children immediately make it about them. They think, oh, I must be bad. I made mummy angry. All of that. Um, and perhaps an older child, depending on the child, you may even be able to talk about, nervous system reactions. Like, gosh, we all have a system that responds to the world. And, sometimes those responses can get stuck in our system. And I think there's something from my past that's got stuck, so you can talk like that, even with but I want to take a look at that. And, because we're all human, so we have a system that responds like this. Is just the way it is. It's okay. But when these things happen, we take a look at them within ourselves. Yeah, but I want you to know that this is not about you.
Exactly.
This is not,
That's so important
yeah,
to tell
this
your
is
child. It's not
not
about
your
you.
fault. Not your fault. This is how I've responded in this situation. And I'm sorry. It must have been really scary for you.
Hmm. And
Um,
I find in my
yeah,
household, we talk about emotions a lot and how we're
yeah,
feeling and what's
yeah,
happening in the present moment. And that's
yes,
totally allowed and acceptable. And I'm asking her, how are you feeling? What's happening in
yeah,
your body
yeah,
in the present moment? Right?
yeah,
And then say I'm feeling angry. I say, I'm feeling angry right now. I need a minute.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah,
Because it's just, and it's not, and if she's feeling sad, I'll say to her, it's okay to feel sad. Like I'm here for you, but that is an
yeah,
emotion, right?
yeah,
Um, the other day, her dad has not been coming around much, and she
yeah,
asked me the big question. 4 years old. I'm driving. I was not expecting this.
yeah,
And asked me about, does dad love me? But like asking. And I wanted to point out, very important, that it's really important for children. You do not put down the other parent ever, because it will psychologically harm your child in the long run. And whatever
yeah,
you say bad about the other parent, statistically, your child as an adult will have those traits. So I was driving and I'm like, geez, there's a big one. And I said right away, your dad loves you more than anyone else in this world. You're his favorite person. Okay.
yeah,
And I said, I know he doesn't. And I always tell her, you can talk to me about anything. And I said, I know he doesn't always come around as much. And I said, he's not always fully capable of loving as much as, like, fully capable of loving the proper way. And I
the
said,
way you need. Yeah,
right, the way she needs. And
yeah,
I said, you know how I said, Nana and Papa, I said, they're always there. And I said, I'm always here. I said, that's because I learned from Nana and Papa. So I said, I know how to do that. And I said, I will always be here. And I said, how are you feeling? And she said, sad.
yeah,
And I said, well, and I said, well, it's not over. It doesn't mean it's okay for him not to come. I said, he should be coming a lot more often. And I said, how are you feeling now? And she said, happy. So it's teaching them, like, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest, but that's my
yeah,
story now for many years
yeah,
to come. I don't need to go into any more details than that. That is it
yeah,
until she's much, much, much significantly older. That is her
yeah,
story. I'm not putting her dad down. This is the truth. There are
yeah,
reasons why he
yeah,
struggles, but I'm also not going to justify it.
no,
Because if
yeah,
I teach her to justify it, she'll excuse everybody the rest of her
yeah,
life, right?
yeah,
So I
that's
want
right.
her to have that healthy relationship as much as she can with her dad.
Yeah,
But um protecting her at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I have thought of the answer many, many times, but I was not ready for it. For it
Yeah.
all like
No, you never
I'm
are,
talking,
are
I'm
you?
like, what? I'm like, she's only four. But
Yeah.
um she left the conversation feeling happy.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we did it. That's the story we're sticking to now from now on. Oh, but it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah. I
always
think
easy being a parent.
no, gosh, no, it's really not. But yeah, I think you have to, you know, you have to like as much as possible come back to you and go, oh wow, okay, this is a question that I'm going to answer, but come back to yourself before you
Exactly. And I didn't just spring the
give yourself
answers.
the
I
time.
kind of, when she said why, I was like, oh, and I did not respond right away. I sat and I kept on driving
Yeah.
and I was like, what
Yeah.
do I say?
Yes.
And then I sat
Yeah.
on it and I answered her.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
you don't just throw it an answer. Just slow down
Yeah.
and respond.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Because then you're not responding from your own potential triggered reaction
no,
which is going
no.
to come up inside you. Like I have my children have fairly challenging relationship with their dad as well, and things come up all the time, whereas it's like, oh gosh, this happened, and I'm like, oh wow, so how did that make you feel? How did you feel about that? But it's really hard when people, say those things to you, without going into detail. But, so that you're, like you said, you're acknowledging what's happened and that it's not okay, but not putting the other parent down at the same time. Like you're
Hmm,
not going to start saying things like, oh, because he's a bad person or he's a, you know, whatever.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what advice do you have for a trauma survivor who wants to be an effective parent while doing their own healing work?
I'd say stop waiting until you're healed to be a good parent. Yeah. Like you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be fully healed. In fact, um, there isn't really any such thing as that destination. Oh my gosh, I'm healed. Woo, like it's okay to be on that journey and to be a good parent at the same time. Because as we've discussed, as we've talked about, it's about acknowledging what's coming up inside you. I think as a trauma survivor, the key thing is to really get to know your own trauma, to seek whatever help you need to do that from whatever, perhaps it might be professional evaluation or, um, whatever support you need to get to know what's coming up inside you. And then, but just know that you don't have to be perfect in any way
And
in
what
order
are
to be
the
a good parent.
signs a parent needs professional trauma informed support beyond just working on their self?
I suppose, when you notice the tools, the things that like the meditations or the various things, the tools that you have are not working, that you're, when you, I guess, maybe feel like you're doing everything right on the surface but still feel like you're drowning underneath. Or, I guess you notice that you're yelling at your kids a lot, or you're having thoughts that frighten you.
Hmm. Like suicidal
um
thoughts, for one,
perhaps, yeah,
or harming yourself or harming your children
or other people, yeah,
or other
absolutely.
people. And if you're having those type of thoughts, what should a person do?
I would get in touch with, if you're having suicidal thoughts, I think reaching out to speak with someone. I mean, every country, every area has their life. Like in Australia, we have Lifeline that you can call and have a conversation with someone. Reach out to someone and have a conversation and talk, because however, it might feel it is a temporary situation, and it can feel awful. I've absolutely had this experience and been there myself many times. And the key thing is to just remember in those moments that you've got to reach out to someone and just talk to someone, whatever you might end up doing later, and get that professional support in the moment, because these support systems that are set up are designed to, they're there to support you in those moments when you think there's nothing else that you can do.
And seek outside professional help for your children as well.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
social support. Like, make sure
Yeah,
if you can have your children have a secure, supportive tribe, because it takes more than one or two people to raise a child. It
yeah,
creates a family, a unit, a tribe. And it doesn't have to
yeah,
necessarily be grandparents, aunts, and uncles. And every tribe has a different size, but safe, secure, healthy people
yeah, yeah,
that are good quality, that will teach your child to have set a good role model, have a good example. Um,
yeah.
mhm. And what can a parent do if they're struggling with anxiety and depression while raising their child?
Um, I suppose, um, to acknowledge what's happening and just, start to gain as much awareness as you can. Just, I guess, yeah, acknowledge that this is what's happening. Like, I'm responding in a really anxious way, and to seek help. I absolutely, talk with someone. Often, and I think in my journey, I felt very, anxious about seeking professional help. People, would often suggest to me, "Oh, we just go talk to someone, like book in with a psychologist," and that was really frightening. So the first thing that I did was to talk with, a safe person, and it was on one of those suicide lines, where I first spoke to someone, and then I went to a counsellor who supported me and talked further and really started to help me to understand what was happening and that I could move forward from this place. And, things started to open up and to heal from there.
Hmm. Because
Yes.
the first step
So,
is
yeah.
admitting you're struggling and
Yeah. Yeah.
seeking support. Having strong
Yes.
people around you that will support you, because it's not easy. And many, many people have been there,
Yeah.
and it's okay. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
there's anything wrong with you. Doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're hurting.
Yeah.
And it means you need some extra support right now
Yeah. Because you're a human. Like,
because
humans
you're
are
human.
meant to be with other people. We're not meant to be alone. We're not meant to do stuff alone, especially hard things like raising a child.
Hmm. It's not,
Right.
it's easier with two people for sure. And as a single parent, sometimes the self-isolation when you're always just you can get
Yeah.
to you, right? So it's getting out into that community support is
Yeah.
also essential, because that can
Yeah. Because
also
a lot,
impact
yeah.
your nervous system.
Definitely, because there's a lot of messages, out there in the world that we all take on, like from our childhood, and it's in society in general that we should be able to handle it all ourselves. Like, you're a strong woman, right? That you can do it all yourself. But it's not about that. Like, it's, humans are designed to be in community and to, we handle hard things better when we're with other people. There's been studies done on this, looking at brain activity and, what kind of, things, happen in our brain, like the chemicals that are produced and all of that kind of thing, how we deal with things, when we're with someone else and when we're with someone we love, that is a part of our community, a part of our tribe. It's different again. Like, we can do things better. We can, um, yeah, have a better experience of life and do those hard things better when we're with other people.
We
So
need that support.
yeah, developing those connections, little by little. And that can be hard too. Like I've had the experience of being very isolated, in a new place all by myself where I didn't know anybody. Like, how can you reach out to someone new and share the kind of stuff that I needed to share?
Mhm.
Um, but, you know, it happens little by little and it is possible to, to have the support that you need.
And what are some of the first steps we can take if our little kids are starting to show signs of trauma, anxiety, and depression?
Um, I think to notice that something's perhaps going on with them, and to very gently talk to them and connect with them, and depending on what it is, hey, I noticed I'm guessing that you might be feeling, just language like this, like you're not telling them how they're feeling, but just I'm guessing that you might be feeling a bit anxious about going to school today because I can see that you're in your bed and we've got to leave in half an hour. And in order to get there on time, you know, it's okay. I'm here. What's happening? I suppose,
So compassion for them,
connecting,
listening,
connecting with your
telling them
child.
you'll always be there. They can talk to you about
Yeah,
anything, checking in
yeah,
on them, right?
yeah,
Being fully
yeah,
present with them, spending
yeah,
time with them,
yeah,
giving them the love, and not that they feel like they have to do something to earn that love. No matter what, you
yeah,
love them, and just becoming curious with them, helping them notice their own emotions and what's happening
yeah,
in their own body,
yeah,
and feeling safe enough that they can communicate this with you
yeah,
and that you're a
yeah,
team. And that's something I'm always trying to do with my daughter is her and I
yeah,
are a team. That doesn't mean
yeah,
now she'll try and like do things like sure notice how I'm taking care of her and then she'll
yeah,
be like, let me brush your hair or let me do this. And it's like,
yeah.
well, hold on. Right? Because she's just four. They copy your behavior, but I'm like, I'm the parent here. Don't forget that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Because I will say it's my responsibility to take care of you. We're a team, but my
yeah,
job is to take care of you. Now, it doesn't mean she
yeah,
can feel empathy and want to help, but there's a line.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
there a line? We don't want our kids feeling like they have to take care of us.
No.
Our job is to take care of them.
Yeah,
When we're
yeah.
old and we're seniors, then we want our kids to be raised so that they can take care of us and have that empathy and compassion. But until that point,
But they'll
as
be
a mom
adults
or a
then,
dad,
right?
we take care of
Yeah,
them.
yeah. And
Um,
adults have a lot more resources in
exactly.
place,
Yeah.
than children do. Yeah.
Okay. So if your child is not respecting or treating other children with dignity, respect, kindness, honesty, compassion, how can we address that
If they're not, you mean?
if they're not?
Yeah. Um, well, I think it's first, it's the first thing always is to notice our own reaction because, in the moment we can go, don't do that, that's awful, because that's the judgment that we're making. But it's about looking deeper at what's happening. So it's about, I guess, noticing what's coming up inside us, right? That's interesting. Okay, so I wonder what's happening inside them in this situation and getting curious about that too.
Mm,
And then connecting with them and saying, hey, I noticed that you you behaved in this way, or you said that about, this other person. Um, yeah, what's happening when you say things like that? Because that doesn't sound like the way or I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say?
I
It's
understand. So being
noticing what's coming
curious
up in
instead of
you,
saying, don't
noticing
do
what's
that,
yeah, like
be
what is
curious.
behind
That doesn't mean we're not going to say,
their
yes,
action.
go for it. but we're gonna be like,
Yeah.
well, what's happening here? What's happening in your body?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Um, and let's start to explore this together.
Yeah. Let's talk about this. Like,
Let's
I'm here
talk
with
about
you.
this.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's no judgment, there's no separation. There's like, we're together. Like, I love you. There's love, there's holding. But let's talk about this that's happened. Yeah. And how,
What's
and
happening
get them to
inside
talk about
you
it.
when you want
Yeah.
to do this to this person?
Yeah.
Notice
Yeah.
what's happening
Yeah.
in your mind, your thoughts, and notice what's happening in your body.
Yeah.
Because as
Yeah.
adults, if we
Yeah.
can actually develop that skill as a child, most adults don't, let's be honest, most adults do not have that skill that when we are not treating someone well, we're not noticing what's happening in our mind or thoughts beforehand, and we're not noticing what's happening
Yeah.
in our nervous system. But if we
Yeah.
actually did, what a difference that could make,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like that would be amazing if
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone was like so enlightened.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There'd be so
And that
much
can
less
even
like
be
war in the world.
imagine. And that's, yeah, that can even be part of your conversation, perhaps at some point with your child too, to say, hey, I have responded like this before too. I don't know, like so that they don't, yeah, it's not a judgment of them in that moment and the shame happens and all the things. It's just, gosh, let's explore this.
And what is the practical hacks for keeping kids fed, clean, and loved when the parents have no energy and are feeling deep sadness?
Ah, big question. I think, yeah, wow, it's hard. I think it comes back to, um, yeah, acknowledging what that you feel sad, and that, you know, and that you're feeling the weight of responsibility for having to do all these things, and you're acknowledging, um, those younger parts, those, what's coming up inside of you from the past, that you're out of the present, that, you're overwhelmed. It's about acknowledging all of that, and, you know, not necessarily hiding it from your kids, but, because when parents say, oh, everything's fine, when it's not, kids pick up on that, right? And that feels even more, it's about being even more inauthentic. So I think it's about being authentic, but also, um, being as present as possible, even while you're feeling these things, like noticing that, oh, wow, this is something that's coming up inside me. I'm going to take a look at this. I'm going to explore this and just find out what's happening
I
within
love
me,
it.
which is,
I agree.
yeah, yeah, which is, I want to say it's really hard to do some of these things in the moment, because when you're in a really huge response, it can be huge, but that's the key, to start to, explore them, with a professional, perhaps can be really helpful at first, and learn some techniques and things that you can use on your own.
Hmm. Hmm. And doing grounding exercises, working into your
Yeah,
body every day, journaling. I find when I can't
yeah,
get thoughts out of my head, just writing it down
yeah,
really helps. It's like
yeah,
filing
me
it
too.
away. Right? And
Yeah,
then as you're writing, journaling, noticing what's happening in your body, you can resource as you're writing, as you're journaling.
yeah,
All these little baby steps, they all make a
yeah,
difference if we
yeah,
constantly
yeah,
do
and
it.
I'd say, develop a little toolkit of things that you can pull out, because no one thing is gonna, there's no sort of one thing that's gonna work at all times or whatever. But it's just, different ways to come back to you, to connect with yourself,
And
and
teaching
developing
your
a little
child. Sorry,
a
go
little
ahead.
toolkit. Exactly. Yes, and helping them develop their little toolkit of
Exactly. Because
things that you
we're
can have as a human.
we're teaching
Yeah.
them healthy coping mechanisms.
Yeah,
And when we
definitely.
have healthy coping mechanisms, we're way less likely as adults to enter into addiction. Um, I mean, there's many different types of addiction, right? There's social
Oh, yeah. That's a
media,
whole other
there's
conversation, Erin.
drugs, there's
Yeah,
drinking, there's
yeah,
shopping, There's
Yeah.
sex, there's
Yeah.
pornography, there is
Yeah.
working out, there's overworking, just constantly staying busy, being perfect, like the list goes on.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
we can learn to have those healthy coping mechanisms and teach our children,
Yeah.
that can have an impact for many generations to come.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
And once the heaviest cloud of a depression episode lifts, what is the best way for a parent to reconnect and repair with their child?
Yeah, we kind of touched on that earlier too, but I'd say gently. Um, you know, with you, there's no need to have a big dramatic conversation, particularly if your kids are young. It's like, kids just need to feel safe. So it's whatever they need in that moment to feel safe and to do that repair. And um, you know, what was it like for you? That kind of, when this happened, or when I behaved like that, or these past few weeks, or whatever the situation might be. And it might look like a cuddle that lasts as long as they need. Like, you hold them with as much love as with love,
Mhm.
and allow them to, I guess, stop that rather than you just hug them and, walk away. It's like that hug that lasts, that's as long as they need it to be. Um, and just saying things like, gosh, mum has really been I've been struggling with things for a while. And, I'm sorry that that was really scary, but I want you to know that I love you with all my heart. And I'm here now. I'm
And
here
asking
now.
too.
Yeah.
And even during it, allow them to know what's happening. And they're not
Yeah.
responsible for taking care of you.
Yeah.
And do what you can to take care of them. And
Yeah.
then once they're out, every child and every age is different, but checking in to see if they want that hug, doing day trips together, right?
Yeah.
Spending that extra time with them if they want,
Yeah.
knowing that they can always come and talk to you,
Yeah.
that you will just sit and listen without judgment and with just love and
Yeah.
compassion. Um, and just be open with them. And that doesn't mean like, and I need you to help me. No, we need to help ourselves. Our
Yeah.
children can't help us, they're children. We need to help ourselves.
Yeah.
And by being open with it, but not again, depending on the age and their capacity, we don't need to tell them all the details. Just knowing that they're
No.
struggling and mommy's hurting right now and she's working on something, or daddy's
Yeah.
hurting right now and he's working on healing,
Yeah.
but they still love you, right?
Yes.
Is what we need to do. And our last question, what advice do you have for parents watching today that feel lost and feel like they're losing hope?
Well, I'd like to look you right in the eye and tell you that you found this for a reason. And, the fact that you're watching, that you're searching, that you haven't given up, that's not nothing, that's everything. And you don't have to have it together to start, not at all. And being a human is not about having it together all the time. And, you don't have to be healed to be a good mom or to be a good dad. You just have to be willing to take one small step at a time. And um, yeah, I was once a mum who was drowning and, pretending that I was fine and telling everyone that I was fine. And, and I know what it feels like to love your kids so much it hurts, and still feel like you're failing them. And, I want you to know that there is a way through, not around it, but through it. Unfortunately, it feels like at the time, but it's actually an incredible journey, and definitely worth taking. You're not too broken. You're not too gone. You're absolutely not alone as well.
Okay. And I agree. And and there's always hope and there's always healing. Um, and there's no way around it. We can't go under it. We can't go over
No,
it. Can't go around it. We
no.
got to go through it. And you know what? It took me a long time to start my healing journey, but it's a journey worth taking.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
learn and you grow
definitely.
so much. And you're going to have your ups and your downs on the healing journey. And it's not always
Yeah,
going to be easy. And it's not always going to be smooth. But if you can be honest with yourself and honest with others, particularly your children, and constantly every day, bit by bit, over a year, imagine how far you will come.
exactly. Embrace doing it imperfectly. Allow yourself to be imperfect.
We're
Yeah,
perfectly human, right?
yeah.
We're all imperfect
Is
because we're
that
human.
right?
That's what makes us human.
Yeah,
And we
yeah,
all experience pain and we all have
yeah,
our dark days.
yeah.
Um, they're always, even when we feel like it won't get better, it normally does.
It
So
always
we're
does.
always going to
Yeah,
have
so far.
a good day.
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And so if you're interested in this session with either one of us, our contact information will be below. If you have any questions, pop the comments in the comment box below. And thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much for joining today and giving us all your experience and your insight and just coming on. I believe this is the second time. You were one of the first people I interviewed, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so thank you so much
Just it.
for coming back.
Yeah, I'm just an imperfect human, just, doing my thing in the world the best way I can.
Well, I'm really
Yeah.
imperfect, so
Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone.